Welcome everybody. We're here with our second episode of our Creator Interviews series, and today we have Bo Condon in the studio with us. How you doing, Bo?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Hey, pleasure. So today we're going to talk about creating commercials with budget or affordable gear and how you've accomplished that over the years. So why don't you first give us a little bit of background to when you started shooting and how you got into video. Give us a little story there.
So ninth grade year in high school, obviously, I had a science project. It was about the scientific method, and we were supposed to film it and then edit it using Windows Movie Maker. Did that, and I never, even though I never got along with the teacher, he is responsible for starting me off in this career. So thanks, Mr. Topolsky. I think that was your name.
It's all about the teachers.
Sorry about everything
Excellent.
that I did. But yeah, so after that, I was like, wow, this is really cool. Mm-hmm. And the next 4 years was spent learning everything I possibly could about the editing side of things. And then when I went to college, that was when I started learning about the gear side of things and how to actually shoot correctly and make things look really cool. And I guess in 2016 was when I officially went full-time, got the LLC, and just hit the ground running with everything commercial and events. I basically started with weddings right out of college, and I guess that's how everybody starts.
It's a good way to start too.
Yeah, especially if you hate weddings, because then you can get away from doing them, but still be decent at what you do. I got into commercial work right out of the gate, and absolutely loved shooting in the local markets and getting to help businesses that I thought deserved better commercials and deserved, they were already putting so much effort into making their businesses look great, but they didn't have any visuals to back that up. So it was really rewarding for me to find those businesses and give them a product that would actually showcase their talents and the awesome services that they provide.
Right, and most small businesses, which is the majority of businesses in the U.S., don't have a creative department, don't have a design department, and don't have any design experience. You're not a designer. I've heard so many times in small businesses. Right. It's great to bring somebody up to the next level and give them that vision that you've acquired over the years.
Any of the small businesses I deal with, I always tell them to don't hire a marketing team, don't hire a creative team, just hire me. And you don't have to be, even the ones that like to do their own social media stuff with their cell phone, that's all well and good, but you'd be shocked what one day out of the year, 1 day in a quarter can do production-wise for their company. Just having me come in, shoot all day, that can give them content for the whole year. And I think a lot of our clients have kind of started to realize that and utilize that, and I wish more companies did.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later in the interview, but they're getting a lot more than just that video that you're providing them with when you give them that vision that they've never seen their brand have before. So for example, if they're doing their Instagram page or something like that, they're going to learn a lot from working with a videographer, a professional videographer or photographer of, oh, my pictures could look like that, my video could look like that, and get tips and advice so that they have that polished image in their brain next time they go and shoot one of their products with their phone for Instagram. Maybe they'll start to think about lighting and shooting by a window to use some natural light. So
right, and anytime I'm shooting with a client, I always try and give them little tips and tricks like that will help them, because the reality is I'm not there every day.
Right.
Especially if we're doing it this way. A lot of those clients I have retainer agreements with, which I'm there 1 or 2 days a month, and they're going to have to at some point post a picture of themselves on Facebook, and just being able to give them those little lighting tips here and there, that goes a long way.
Added value.
Yeah.
Every business needs to provide added value beyond their product or service.
And
so that's great.
Think, too, pre-production is so important for guys in our industry. Not enough people are scheduling out their shoots before they show up. A big sell point for me to my clients is that if with 1 day of shooting, we can shoot all of your videos for the entire year. So if you do good in your pre-production planning, they're going to instantly see the value in the fact that you only shot one time, but now when they have an event in June, you've already got enough B-roll, you've already got enough footage to turn that around in a couple days for them. And that right there, that's the kind of stuff that will make them a client long-term rather than just being a one-hit commercial idea.
Right. Well, we love gear here, obviously, gear focus. So let's talk gear, because we love talking gear. So let's talk about the gear that you use, because clearly people that might be watching this video are interested based on the topic of creating a commercial with budget gear or affordable gear. What is that gear that you're using? How long have you used it?
The gear I use is the gear I want to afford right now, period. A lot of people get caught up in the gear race. I tend to not, so I'm probably your least favorite person. But it's okay. I think that the biggest thing is being comfortable with what you can afford, being comfortable in shooting with what you've got, because at the end of the day, I see so many guys in our industry worrying so much about having the new item, or worrying so much about having the item that they see other people buying on
or
YouTube,
the newest and
the latest,
yep,
greatest,
absolutely.
that they miss out on the fundamentals of the shoot.
Right.
Just the other day I saw a guy post a video. He's like, "Tell me what you think about my commercial with my new Ronin." And he had just got it. He was so excited, but every single shot in this minute-long ad was gimbal shots, and they weren't good gimbal shots because A, he just got it, and B, everyone's chasing that gimbal look so much now, where if they just kind of slowed down, did the fundamentals, did some close-ups of the tacos instead of just spinning around the guy making the tacos for a minute.
Yeah.
So getting back to those kind of seeing the gear that you have and shooting with it in a way that's going to look best for your client at that time. I shoot primarily with a 5D Mark IV.
Yeah, let's take a look at what you got here.
That's an ADD, and that is the best. I can drop it, throw it, sad for a minute.
Throw it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Insurance. That's another video.
Catch.
The ADD is a great little, it's very Casey Neistat of me, but...
And you got the, what's on here? Is this the Nifty 50?
The newer Nifty 50.
The newer Nifty 50, okay.
So, I love this camera because I can just hand it to somebody and feel safe that it's going to get the job done. It can do 1080-60, and if it falls, breaks, shatters, oh darn.
Right.
Just go get another one real quick, because it's not...
Now, what did you buy this new?
I did.
What, do you remember the price that you paid at the time? Okay. So I think they were right around $1,000, right?
Yeah.
It's somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And see, that's why we created Gear Focus too, to put a little plug in for us. But this goes along with, you don't need the latest and greatest. And technology is changing so fast that new videographers, filmmakers can go pick up the old model, or even two old models now that it's changing so fast, for a fraction of the cost. In fact, like last Friday on our Gear Focus Friday, we did the 1DX Mark II, and why it's now the time to buy that. So maybe it's an intermediate videographer who's been wanting to upgrade to full frame in the 1DX. And now's the time to do it, because I think one sold on Gear Focus for like $3,000 when it was like $4,500 the week before the announcement of the Mark III. So now, and I think there is one of these for sale. So if anyone's interested, it is listed on Gear Focus right now. There's an ADD. And now you've got your trusty, my favorite camera, 5D Mark IV. And I see you went with the Sigma 24-70.
Yeah, and I did that because, again, it came down to cost. The Sigma was sharper, in my opinion, than the Canon, and substantially cheaper. And I didn't feel like just shelling out the extra money because it had that fancy little red circle on the end of the lens.
And percentage-wise, how much do you use autofocus?
A lot more than I should because I'm moving quickly, and the stabilizer and the autofocus on that lens is perfect for what I need.
Great, awesome. Yeah, because I have the 35, I think, Sigma. Can't remember which one it is. Focus is definitely a little slower than the Canon 35 on it. So
this one, I'll say, whenever I'm using the 24-70, if I'm doing interview stuff, obviously I'm always using manual for those anyway, but I always like to double check if I have the time to do so, because it can get a little soft.
Right.
But overall, it's still such a sharp lens, and I think it comes down to me not really being a gear snob.
Right.
I love the lens because I got it at a price that was affordable for me at that time, and it's freaking awesome because it's what I have, it's in my box, and I'm going to use it.
These are like what, 20, I think I bought mine new a while ago, like, I don't know, 3 years ago or something like that, 2 or 3 years ago. They're like 2,500 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that new.
And I know we have some 5D Mark IVs, and 5D Mark III is even a great camera. I mean, you got to look at your level, right? From what I'm understanding and hearing from you of your mindset is understand your level. Because when you first started out, you didn't have a 5D Mark IV directly out of college.
Right.
So someone that's in college and learning to do that. 5D Mark III is a fantastic camera. It's going to force you to learn manual focus. It's going to force you to learn that camera. And it's the old age saying of know the gear you have really well. Because the last thing you want to do is show up on a shoot and go, where's that setting again to change this frame rate or whatever that you need to get at that moment. All right, so let's get through some of this gear here. So this is the 12 to 24 Sigma.
It's a ridiculous lens that is very fun.
Cool.
The cool thing about that lens is on the full frame of the 5D Mark IV, you can get a fisheye that's tasteful, not a ridiculous, like 8mm fisheye.
Right.
But if you throw that on the crop, on the 80D, it's a dual purpose. That's another reason why I like shooting. I like having a full frame and a crop camera because
Good point.
It makes me have. I have lenses that go from 12 all the way to 200. That's perfect. All the millimeters are taken care of. All the focal lengths are taken care of. But putting that 12 to 24 on that 80D has a completely, obviously, different effect than it does going on the Mark IV. And I can get shots on the 80D with that 12 to 24 that just look beautiful as a B cam in interviews that if I tried it on a full frame, it would be so wide and so obnoxious.
Right.
So that lens is just cool to do a lot of different creative ideas with, especially for commercial shoots. This is my baby for getting my establishing shots. And as big and ridiculous as it is, I wouldn't suggest putting it on a gimbal. But you still
It's heavy.
That would.
That's the thing about Sigmas; they're definitely heavy.
It also acts as a crime deterrent. I just hold it up, and a lot of people will run.
Okay, so let's talk about this little.
This is the #1 tool that every single shooter, whether it be commercials, events, weddings, anybody starting out or doing a $1 billion budget should have in their arsenal. An Osmo Pocket, really the only thing is this. I just have it on a fancy contraption because it has so many limitless possibilities. The thing I use it most for is actually time-lapse, and people make fun of me because I put a little Osmo Pocket on a $2,000 slider, and it looks ridiculous, but I get the best time-lapse that you can shoot on the fly at events and conferences, like, period. I mean, just the fact that with 2 little touches of the button, you can set up a 10-minute time-lapse, go shoot your B-roll, come back to it. You know it's perfect because that motor follows the motion, I mean, to a T.
Well, we actually just gave one of these away. Was it last month? I believe it was the last giveaway or the one before that. And
guess I should have signed up for that one.
Yeah, exactly. So someone's got, I think it was, it's on our blog, the winner. And we do giveaways regularly. If you guys haven't checked it out, this giveaway is the Mavic 2 Zoom with the Flymore kit.
I
and
want
that's
it.
another. Sell some gear.
I want it.
Upgrade all your gear.
Hey.
Or buy another 80D.
No.
Yeah, or a 5D Mark IV. There's one for sale.
I'm waiting for the R5, but that's another conversation.
Oh, okay. So you're not really against new technology. Then.
Every once in a while, you got to splurge on something.
Yeah, there you go.
I
Well,
didn't
you've been
get the
doing
R
it a
for that.
while too. So
Yeah.
we're talking.
I'm skipping
more
the
with-
R altogether because I already had the Mark IV, which is just a bigger, better R. I mean,
We're actually
sorry.
shooting with the R here, and
They didn't hear me, did they?
Blackmagic 6K, and another R over here. So we got
okay.
2 Rs
It's
rolling
okay.
right now.
You're still better.
But I love my 5D Mark IV. Even with the 1DX Mark II that I have, which I picked up because of the 1D Mark III, the 1DX Mark III. So I finally was able to afford it.
Right.
And so let's talk about your process now.
Yep.
We've talked about the gear that you use and that you don't need fancy gear, knowing your gear. Let's talk about the process that you go through with working with a client from start to end.
So I think far too many of us that are in the commercial world, we focus too much on what we perceive our client's budget to be instead of our own self-worth. We also don't research and plan enough. It doesn't matter if it's a cold walk-in or, which, by the way, cold walk-ins, no one should be doing them because they are the number one way to get new clients. And if you're doing cold walk-ins, then I might run into you during a cold walk-in and have to fight you. And I don't want to have to do that.
We don't want any fighting.
No.
We want to build a community of like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but seriously, cold walk-ins are the number one thing. I don't know why more people aren't doing them. It shocks people sometimes.
It's how I got for my production company was actually on a walk. I had just had back surgery and I was shooting photography and I met a neighbor and it was a very large, let's just say the first project to a company I didn't even have a website for yet,
Right.
was very large.
So
that's great.
They're an amazing tool that not enough people are using. But however you're meeting this new potential client, referral, walk-in, whatever, research. You need to research what their business is. At least go to their website, their social media pages. Start learning how you can make their life better.
Right.
Once you have that research, you can already put a plan in your head as to what you're going to show up to that first time you meet them and what you're going to tell them they need. Because chances are, if they're like-minded and they know that they need to start doing videos, they're going to say, oh, we'd like to do a 30-second ad. But if you do enough research, you might already know that, no, they've already got the social media people there. What they need is a bunch of 15-seconders.
And a lot of times you're outside the forest of their brand and their business, so you can see it from a different light. And you can see things that they don't know that they need of how to tell their story.
Right. Because the reality is, by doing that research, you can know they need a 30-second spot, they need a video business card, they need a website cover video. The reality is they have no idea what they need. And if you go into a walk-in or, God forbid, you're already set up with a meeting with them and you ask them, how can I help you? You look like a putz.
Right.
Don't ask how
That's
can I
part
help
of your
you.
research and your
Right.
planning.
Don't ask how can I help you. Say this is how I'm going to help you.
So do you go to their websites and their social media pages and find out what they're currently doing?
Yep. I find out their weaknesses. I find out what's going to probably work best for them. And there's a chance that they absolutely hate it. They're going to say, no, we kind of like our website, even if it's a terrible website.
Everybody
And
thinks they're the greatest.
You deal with it. And then you go ahead and build that plan. That comes down to, there's kind of a repeating process. You plan, you meet, you might have to go back, plan again, meet again, proposal. I tend to have a proposal already set up before we go. It almost never is the proposal that gets signed that day.
Right.
Because chances are they're going to want to add things. And that's where knowing your worth, knowing how much you need to perform this task. So let's say it's, you know that you need $1,000 for today to work. Great. Go in there with whatever your X amount of numbers are that makes you happy. And then when they start adding things, just keep that number in your head. Just be confident in your own self-worth, and knowing that they're probably going to want to add things, and that you're going to have to accommodate to different things that they're going to want to shoot because they have an event coming up in June or something like that.
Well, the business owners, and I've always said this, the business owners know their business, know their customers, know their products, but a lot of times they don't know how to present that.
Right.
They think they do.
Yeah.
They think what they're doing is working because they've had some success, but they can't see the forest outside the trees. And that's what you're doing for them. So, okay, so let's go into contracts because that's a whole nother ballgame. So you have your proposal that you bring in, and that usually changes, but you get a signed contract before you start to shoot.
So I, with the proposal, every time I shoot, I also bring a basic contract, and that's just to let them look everything over beforehand. So automatically in that first meeting, we're already going over the questions that they have. So that's not a strand of emails later. Once we are sure on what we're going to shoot with, contract. Don't ever, anyone out there, do a shoot without a contract. It is a prenup.
It gets messy.
If you don't have a contract, it's like it's totally a prenuptial agreement the way I look at it. Because if you don't get that contract, they can take all your footage, take all your work, take your deliverables, and owe you absolutely no money. They can disappear, gone, and you're left there like, oh well, but technically they owe me $1,000. That you have no proof. You have nothing there to fall back on. And I can't believe how many people are still out there they run into the shoot without a signature.
Then you need to, if that happens, then you need to pull a Better Call Saul and slip on a drumstick and break your back and then hold them up to.
I've held production days up because they didn't sign the contract.
Right.
It's like I know that we're supposed to start right now, but I need that person here right now to sign that because anything can happen at any point in time, and you need to cover your own arse.
All right, so you got the contract. The contract signed.
And have a lawyer look at your contract too.
Right.
Because the lawyer is going to find out anything that you're missing. Because, I made my contract, but then I had a lawyer come in and clean it up. Because I have no idea. But that lawyer.
You only pay for it once. Lawyers aren't cheap, but at the same time, it's worth the investment to protect your tail.
Yep. And then you're done. You said, it's a one-time thing. You can make adjustments later to your contract, but if you've already had a lawyer look at it once, chances are you're not going to have to.
That's a legal mumbo jumbo, So
ticker at the bottom. I'm not represented by any logo.
Nice. Okay, so let's go into the shoot. You're on shoot. You're on set. Now, one thing that we talked about is slow down.
Yeah.
Don't be in a hurry. You're there for a reason. You're there for a job. It's very easy to get distracted, right?
Yeah.
Learning about their products. Let's say you're shooting a car commercial and you're like, oh, this car's awesome. Tell me about all the features that it has. And 20 minutes later, your camera stuff isn't set up and you're not planning for that shoot. So, tell us your process for planning for that shoot right before and once you get there.
So in an ideal world, it doesn't always work this way because if they want to shoot tomorrow, then you got to speed things up. But I always want my pre-production planning to be 2/3 of the project. I love being able to do shot lists, even if it seems like the most asinine thing to do. If you're shooting a Chinese buffet, do a shot list because what's going to happen on that shoot is you might get blind at some point. You might think, well, crap, what else am I supposed to get? Pull that shot list out. You're right. I never got the orange chicken. And then you go get the orange chicken. Boom. So I always do a serious amount of pre-production planning. The clients know when I'm going to be there. They know how long it's going to take. Too many of us, what we do is we just pick a date and we pick a start time. You need to have hours broken all the way down as deep as you can. And even if it's just a 30-second spot, you tell them that the business needs to be available throughout the whole day. The client themselves needs to be available. They have to understand that this day is going to be, in a way, an inconvenience for them. But it's all for the production. If
Right.
They try and have a normal business day while you're there filming.
Yeah. It's
You're
not
going
going
to
to
short
Close
yourself.
down, shoot early like we
Yeah.
are today. It's 5:30 in the morning. We've had our espresso, and
We really need to slow down. If it's going to take 20 minutes to get that shot, get that shot. When we talked about the gear, it doesn't matter if you're shooting on a Red or you are shooting on an 80D. Remember the fundamentals, know what it's going to take to make that specific shot of that car at that dealership look good with the
Right.
right lighting, and take the time to do it. If the client's standing over top of you, oh well, this is what they're paying for. Because what's going to happen is if you rush that shot, if you're on a gimbal and you're just running around for an hour and you're like, okay, I have everything out, you're going to go home, you're going to put something together, and you're not going to love it, and they're not going to love it, and now there's nothing you can do about it because you've already shot that day, and now you have to either lose money by going back there for free, or have to convince them to pay for you to come back a second time.
Right.
When if you would have just taken your time, focused on a shot list, had a good shot list, you'd have it all.
right.
So yeah,
It's preparing.
research, plan, proposal, meeting, contract, schedule, shoot. In that order, repeat as necessary.
Wash and repeat.
Wash on hot with the Unstoppables.
Unstoppables.
Yeah, the Downy Unstoppables. Want to smell?
Ooh.
Oh crap, this is an old shirt. I didn't wash this one.
Oh, that smells good. I just want to bring up a topic that I've seen a lot on social media and a lot amongst my filmmaker and production friends. There are certain clients where you're not getting that client unless you have a Red or an RE, right? They require certain gear. Have you been in that situation before and still gotten the job? And been told that by a client and still gotten the job?
I haven't had it be specific for a Red and an RE where I needed to have that gear. I've had clients that are snobby about the gear that I'm using,
Right.
and the funny part is they're basing it off of what they've seen on YouTube or what they've seen. No offense. Or basing it, the comments are about to go.
Yeah.
Or basing it off of a commercial that they saw and they saw behind the scenes what they were shooting with. They have no true concept of the costs involved and the fact that I can get a beautiful shot just like that with an 80D. And so I think that's the big thing is when I have ran into those issues, I've simply sent them then our clips that we've shot with these cameras, and they're like, "Oh, actually, that looks amazing."
Yeah.
They
That's how you use it. I mean, there's amazing filmmakers and creators out there creating amazing footage, cinematic, film quality, Hollywood quality on a GH5 and a Sony A7 III and all that. It's how you use the gear. It's the shot. It's the lighting too, because you had mentioned the lighting as well.
Oh my gosh,
So
it's
do you
lighting.
bring in lights? What kind of lights do you use?
So I'm a huge fan of cost-effective lights because the expensive ones break just like the cheap ones. Now, when I say cheap, I don't mean really cheap, but you can get awesome lighting from a set of Dracast or Dracast. I never knew how to say it.
Right.
Set of lights, and if you are lighting it properly, it's not going to matter. I've used Philips Hue light bulbs and done the best lighting ever.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I think what everybody needs to focus on here about your gear, there might be a rare situation where a client wants you to shoot on a Red, but at the end of the day, your clients don't give a what gear you're using.
Yeah.
They want it to look good. The content is what matters. If you make their business look beautiful, it doesn't matter what you're shooting with. The
Right.
content is what matters. The message is what matters.
Story's king, always. Yep. Excellent. Tell us your post-production process, because you do everything, right? I mean, you do start to finish.
Yep.
So how do you tell that story? What are the tools that you use in post-production? What's your workflow?
So I do a very unique workflow. Workflow is so funny to me because it's so custom to the individual. I do things that people are like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. That takes so long. No, it's easy for me. I love doing it that way because I know it works.
Right.
I don't care if there's a shortcut for it. I think the biggest thing for me is multiple monitors. I have 4 monitors, and I have everything I need to see in Premiere in one. I'm an Adobe fanboy, by the way. Final Cut sucks. All of my monitors show absolutely everything I could need to see at any given time, and rather than having to go close in or close and open workspaces and change workspaces, it's boom, 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 boom. It's all right there.
Right.
Another huge thing is MOGRT files. They've gotten so much better with Premiere 2020.
Absolutely.
Everyone says they've got glitches out the wazoo. Get a better computer. MOGRT files and how you can use those to speed up your workflow is insane. For a lot of my commercial clients that are restaurants and different service industries, if I took the time to do custom graphics for every single one of them,
It would take way
they
too long.
would never be able
Don't
to
reinvent
afford
the
me.
wheel. Don't
Right.
reinvent the wheel. Yeah.
So there is something to be said about finding template packs that you like, you enjoy. Do a little investment early on. Maybe spend $100 to get 200 different looks of graphics. And the thing is, they're not going to just be plug and play. You need to be able to use After Effects to make adjustments. So a big part of some of you guys out there that don't know how to use After Effects, learn the basics, because none of those packs that you buy are going to be plug and play. You're going to need to change the fonts to your client's fonts. You're going to need to adjust the parameters so that someone's name with 11 syllables actually fits within the lower third. You're going to have to make those adjustments.
Right.
So learning After Effects, that's just by learning those basic things for MOGRT files, that sped up my workflow so much. And just at the end of the day, assembly line editing. If you have a crap ton of projects going on all at once, my favorite thing to do is to either, whether I have an intern or someone starting out, I am a huge fan of the assembly line edit. So you have someone come in, you pay them a fee that's going to make them happy, and they break down all 400 of your clips from your event or your commercial shoot to their best parts. And by the time you get to it, to get to go do the creative part, you're fresh. Your mind is so excited to work on this. You didn't just have to go through 400 clips and make yourself bored with the content that you're already looking at.
Right. Well, it's assembly line is all about productivity. So we use Pluralize, which automatically syncs all your footage together. There's probably other tools out there.
Pluralize
in fact,
is great.
We'll link to some of these suggested websites where you could buy these templates and things like that. Some of the ones that you use and some of the ones that we're using on this video right now. Once we get to the editing part. Is there any other tips and tricks that you can share with our audience as far as speeding up that workflow, other than bringing in somebody to kind of lay everything out?
So
because not everybody's going to have an intern,
right,
and not everybody's going to be able to afford another editor. They're doing everything themselves. They might have 20 projects on their plate. They might have a couple projects on their plate at a time.
It comes down to what we talked about earlier, the planning, the scheduling. If you do a proper shot list and you do take your time on that shoot, you won't have 400 clips to go through. You'll have 40, and they'll be the exact shots.
Mark them on set. That's the keeper. Yep. Star them. Yep.
Your biggest tool that you're ever going to use for a shoot is this. You're going to need to use the pre-planning and the scheduling to keep your workflow and your editing down.
Right. Yeah, fantastic. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up.
Like a burrito.
Like a burrito. Bo, thanks so much for being our second guest on our creator interview series. And I'm going to include all of the links down below to your website, contact information if anybody wants to reach out, as well as all the gear that we talked about. So if you're interested in picking up some new gear to produce some content like Bo has discussed with us, pick up some great value at gearfocus.com.
Yeah. And I'm ready to argue with all of you in the comments about the gear that I have and the gear I use, as well as give more tips and tricks to anybody that would need them. Feel free to go to our website.
Yeah, if you have any questions,
ask any questions about anything you see, judge anything that we shot. I won't care.
Sounds good. Awesome. I'm flying out to LA next week. And for our next creator interviews, I'm very excited about that. I think 2020 is going to be my travel year. At least that was my resolution. Awesome. Reaching out to content developers like Bo. Thanks again for being on. If you're a content creator and you'd like to be on an episode of our Creator Series interview, please reach out to us via our website. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you're notified of future episodes that we have coming out in the days ahead. Oh yeah, awesome. We're out of here.
Sounds good.
Peace.